Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the End Zone Enthusiasts. And it's time for us to talk about our predictions for weeks. Now, last week, we didn't do a wrap up because it got really busy, but also I was pretty embarrassed, guys. I only got 5 right out of 14. That's right, 5 right, 9 wrong. Worst week I think I've ever had with the picks. But yet again, teams like Carolina won. Teams like New Orleans won. Just New England beat Buffalo. Eagles lost to Denver. There were so many upsets or close to upsets. And the 50-50s, every 50-50 I had went the wrong way. So this time, I promise we'll do better. We're going to do at least 500, if not better. But right now, as you can tell by the bottom of the screen, we're 50-27. So even though we had a horrible week last week, we're still at about 70%, 65 to 70% correct here. So without further ado, let's go through all the picks. But if you're new to the channel, why are we the End Zone Enthusiasts? Because we are coaster enthusiasts who are also football fans. And I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts, Iron Gwazi. Great roller coaster over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. For the power rankings, I had Montu, which is the second best. This one's the best. My number one coaster out of almost 400 coasters. Definitely Tampa. That 1-2 punch. Now let's kick this off here with the first thing, which is who has bye weeks. So last week we had 4. This week we only have 2, and we had the Minnesota Vikings, who basically left with a really good win overseas. So they spent 2 weeks over in Europe, and then they give them a week off. That worked out pretty well. I kind of like how they did that. The other one is the Houston Texans, who actually ended with a little victory. So they have won 2 in a row, and they're starting to dig themselves out of that hole that they put themselves in. The problem is you've got Jacksonville and Indianapolis, who are just dominating the AFC South. So both of these teams can lick their wounds, get ready to come out there. They left on a high note, but they're not playing this week. But you know what? There's a lot of teams that are. So let's go into that right now. First one is starting in about 4 or 5 hours. The Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the New York Giants. Now, this is time for a day for Philly fans here, because you got the Phillies playing at 6 o'clock tonight, game 4 of the NLDS. So, they got to win. They're down 2-1, so that's a must win for the Phillies. You got the Flyers kicking off their season over in, I don't know if they're home or not, but I know their season's opening up. And, of course, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. So what am I going to watch as a Philadelphia fan? Probably going to be this season finale of Peacemaker. Probably. No. I'm definitely going to be watching this game. I'm going to watch this game closely, jumping back and forth, get that split screen going there with the Phillies there. Sorry, Flyers, not enough room for you today. But this is a very important game for Philadelphia. So they got their first loss last week. But they've been kind of walking that tightrope the entire time. Of winning, losing, winning. Yeah, they're not losing, but they were not. They played 2 quarters that were amazing and 2 quarters that were hang on. I finally caught up with them last week against Denver. If you know my power rankings there, when I was talking about the Philadelphia at number 4, I believe they were. My biggest concern at this point is A.J. Brown. It has nothing to do with is he going to be good and all that kind of stuff there. I think he's more of a cancer right now. I think his greediness and people are like, well, he's a superstar. He wants to be, get the ball as much as possible. Yeah, they all are. Mike Evans, Puka Nua, you think of every number one person there, Diggs and stuff like that. They all want the ball every play. They always think they're open, or even if they're not open, they think they're open. But I think that affected the Denver game a lot because of the offensive coordinator being kind of bullied into throwing the ball more than he wanted to. They played stupid instead of running the ball with Saquon and knocking time off the clock. And I think that's what came back and bit him in the butt. Now they're going against the New York Giants, who are a new team now with Dart. Dart is his first game there. He's electric. He got that win. The second game threw a lot of interceptions. So offensively, it's going through those 2 rookies, basically, Dart and Scatterboo. Meanwhile, the defense is the key to the Giants. The defensive line there, amazing defensive line there. And because of that, I'm a little nervous about this game because of our offensive line. Dickerson's out. It's going to be kind of a challenge. So the key is going to be Is Philadelphia going to come back? They got punched in the face. So they're going to keep staggering, or are they finally going to be like, we got to beat up a lesser team? No offense to the Giants. Well, okay, some offense to the Giants. You are a lesser team there. So how am I picking this one? Birds are going to bring the pain. I think they are going to let out all their frustrations on the Giants. I think it's going to be one of those games where the passing attack, the running attack, the passing attack, special teams is going to do what they do, and the defense is going to go after this rookie and make him, rule the day that he got on the field. So I'm putting my faith in you here. We're starting off the week strong because we did it last time. Last time we picked the Rams, and San Francisco won, and it really hurt us. So let's start off here. I think it's going to be the Eagles. Now, next one is overseas part 3. Yep, we're still doing those European games here. So 9:30 when I'll be probably supporting the weekend here because I got a long wedding on Sunday. But it's a really good matchup, you would think, in the beginning of the year. But now, not looking so good. You got the Denver Broncos playing the New York Jets. All right. So Denver at this point, just mentioned, they did everything right in that fourth quarter to seal that victory from the Eagles, even going for 2 points when they should have just tied it, or they tell you to tie it. So the fact that they were that aggressive really lets you know that the AFC West is definitely not Kansas City's to take. You got 3 teams there that are definitely good. The defense on Denver it didn't look that way in the beginning, but they shut down the Eagles to 9 yards passing in the whole second half. So that said, Denver's flying high. They're looking good. Meanwhile, I got the Jets, who are the last winless team. And even though I don't think they're the worst team in the league, it's almost like they're giving up already here. So I don't believe Aaron Glenn's doing anything wrong. I think he's trying to change the culture. But when you're a culture like the Jets, where you're just used to losing all the time, it kind of weighs on you. And when you fall behind, you don't have that, oh, yeah, I'm going to come back. They're the opposite of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay falls behind. They still think they're in it. If anything goes wrong with the Jets, they think they're done. And because of that, Jets are going to be pretty much this. And I think that the defense is just going to really tee off on the Jets offense here. And it's just going to be ugly. And I think Nix is going to do exactly what he needs to do to get that victory, because that's what good quarterbacks do. All right, next one is, it could be a good game. It should be a good game, right? It is the LA Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. So what team has fallen more than the Ravens? Most people, I know Brandon Perna and those guys had them as the AFC Super Bowl representative. All right. They had them winning the AFC. A lot of people be them and the Chiefs or them and the Bills, like always. And now you got a team that's 1-4. There's MVP, twice MVP winner, Lamar Jackson, is out for another week at least. Nothing's going right with them. They even have Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's not putting up any numbers. There's no offense there that's really showing, and their defense is the exact opposite of what you would think when you talk about the Ravens. Usually when you talk about the Baltimore Ravens, you're talking about Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and that defense that was all about, hitting you and hitting you hard. And now their defense is very porous and stuff like that. They're going against the Rams, who they have 2 losses, and both of them were games they should have won. The loss against the Eagles, 2 block kicks, or it's a totally different game. And then San Francisco, with all their injuries, the Rams just put up. They couldn't stop Mac Jones. They could not stop Mac Jones. So I'm not totally nervous about the Rams, but I'm not very confident about the Rams right now. They're a team that should be doing better, but they're not. Meanwhile, Baltimore is what the heck. So who's going to take this game? I say the free fall continues. The Baltimore Ravens lose this game. I'm not going to say the Rams win it. The Baltimore Ravens are going to lose this game. I think that at this point, for the first time since 15 years, first time I can remember, Harbaugh is in the hot seat because the team's not playing. There's problems in the locker room. They're not playing up to what they'd be playing, and they have a defeatist attitude. And at this point, a change needs to happen. Is it going to be a spark when Lamar comes back, or is it going to be something that needs to be changed on a different level there? But no matter what, I think the Rams are going to get this game and they're going to win this game. I don't think Baltimore has it in to win it. Next one is, this could be close. So this is the Dallas Cowboys against the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers are 2-3. They are actually a legit team. 2-3. Like one win, you can say that was a fluke. No wins, of course. You're not a good team. 2-3. That's pretty good. Now, the problem is, of course, they're in a division with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 4-1. So their battles for like second place in Atlanta. But the last two games they've won and they've looked pretty good doing it. Last week, almost, I hate to say dominant, but it was a pretty dominant win. And then, of course, the Atlanta game was a blowout. So they're on the way up there against the Dallas Cowboys, who offensively, they are a juggernaut. The problem is their defense has been questionable at best. And in a lot of cases, they have given up more yards than they should have, and they have not been able to stop the run. So those two factors together, you're kind of looking at it a little bit more even than you would think. I mean, at the beginning of the year, we would have thought Dallas was going to blow this away. Carolina doesn't have a prayer. But at this point, it's more like a 55-45. But my gut is still telling me the difference is Dak Prescott. It hurts me to say this, but Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback, and he's got Pickens still there. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's back, but Dak can find a way to win. Meanwhile, Bryce Young finds a way to lose. So I'm going with Dallas. I know it's tough, but so far everyone I picked has been the away team. But all in all, I think Dallas is going to have enough to win this one. Next one is, they're just at a different level, and that is the Arizona Cardinals against the Indianapolis Colts. So I just talked about how all the teams that I've been picking have been the away teams. Well, that ends now. The Indianapolis Colts are number 2 on my power rankings. Number 2. I think they're the most consistent and solid team in the AFC. Who knew that going into the season, right? But Danny Dimes is not making any mistakes. He's behind the line that gives him time to make the decisions that need to be made. You got Jonathan Taylor, who, let's be honest, is the top running back right now, just running over people and can't stop them getting to the end zone. You got Tyler, who is fantastic rookie, up for Rookie of the Year as the tight end for Penn State. And then, of course, the defense has always been solid in Indianapolis. This team is very and consistently good. I mean, the Jets are very consistent, but not in a good way. Indianapolis is very consistent. They know what their wheelhouse is. They get the ball out quick. They have the running attack, very balanced. Just a real solid team. Going against Arizona, who choked big time against Carolina. They literally, was it Carolina? No, it was New Orleans. They lost to the Saints. They had that game, and then yet again, that wide receiver, second time in a row, Indianapolis did it, and now Arizona did it. They gave up the ball. They fumbled the ball for no reason while going into the end zone. And that turned the entire dichotomy of the game to being up by 14 to giving New Orleans that wiggle room they had to actually come back and win that game. So you got one team that's up here and one team that's down here. And I don't believe in Kyler Murray either. So let's not beat around the bush here. The Colts are going to continue to be a winner. They're going to be 5-1. I just don't think Arizona has the fight or the talent, because remember, you lost Connor. A lot of pressure off of Kyler Murray. And, you got Trey McBride, which is good, but they kind of offset there. I just think that an all-around team usually wins, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. The game of the week, guys. I honestly believe this is the game of the week. Seattle Seahawks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the year? But he's calling this the game of the week. But Seattle lost a heartbreaker to Tampa Bay last week. Pretty much Baker being Baker Mayfield, coming down the field and doing what needs to be done. Fantastic overall, though. Every time Tampa threw a right, they threw a left. It was basically rock'em sock'em robots there. Sam Darnold, legitimate quarterback, exactly it. Gino was way too risk-taking, while Sam Darnold is just very methodical. He goes down the field. He does his read. He's not afraid to dump the ball off. If he needs to move, he does move. The running attack with Kenneth Walker the third has been getting better and better every week. The offensive line is getting more solid, giving Sam Darnold the time. Meanwhile, the defense, you got a defensive head coach there. I think Baltimore wishes they had him back. And because of that, it's always solid. They bend, they don't break. Meanwhile, you got Jacksonville, where I'll be honest with you, I don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. However, they're 4-1, and they just knocked off Kansas City. They have more fight than they had in the past. Their key to success, though, isn't so much the offensive side of the ball with Travis Etienne and the wide receiver core, and of course Travis Henry. It's their ability to get the turnovers. They have been living and dying off of the turnovers this year. So really, this is a pretty much two teams that are on the upward trajectory. So who am I going with? I think Darnold is going to be better than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has the money. He has the fame. He was basically given the Jacksonville Jaguar job on a silver platter, and he hasn't had to fight for it. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold, just like Baker Mayfield, was at the bottom of the bottom, a hand-me-down from the Jets to Carolina, and he got to a good situation in Minnesota, resurrected, got 14 wins last year, and we noticed quarterback does matter. People were thinking, oh, God, in Minnesota, the quarterback doesn't matter. They have those offensive weapons that you can put anybody in there. Well, they tried it with Carson Wentz to some success, some failure, and J.J. McCarthy is not ready for prime time. So Darnold at this point was a lot of what Minnesota's success was, and I think at this point here, I just trust Darnold a lot more than Lawrence. With all things considered, everything else evening it out, I'm going to give that victory to Seattle. Next one is, it should be an easy win, and that one is the LA Chargers against Miami Dolphins. Now, what can we say that we haven't said about Miami? Miami Dolphins have been on a tailspin all season. Yes, they won a game, and yes, there's been times when they look good, but all in all, they have not been consistent. Tua is definitely not progressing, especially for what the contract is he got. So, and the hottest seat, I think, right now is the quarterback, their coach. Their coach is definitely on the highest seat there. Meanwhile, the Chargers were really flying high. They were 3-0 with 3 victories over the AFC West, but the last 2 weeks they've lost. It was Giants, which is very you can't really, a rookie quarterback starting his first game, you're supposed to have this great defense, and then you lay an egg. And then last week they looked listless. So you got 2 games where they looked horrible going into this game here. So you got Miami, yet again, another trap game here. They've already lost to the Giants. It could be conceivable if they lose to Miami. However, I think the Chargers are going to flip the script, and they're going to move forward with this. I think Miami is just kind of like how Baltimore is right now, kind of like how the Jets are. They're looking for ways to lose instead of finding ways to win. With that being said, I think the Chargers are going to right their ship this week. Fingers crossed they do. Next one here is a Rust Belt battle. Cleveland against Pittsburgh. Now, let's be honest. Pittsburgh has this division. They're 3-1, and they just kind of came off the bye, so they're well rested. They're all go, but they haven't looked like a winner. They should have lost against New England. New England coughed up the turnovers 5 times, 4 fumbles, one of them on the 1-yard line. So that was definitely a nice little flip there. Aaron Rodgers is doing exactly what he was paid to do. Make the quick reads and get the ball out fast. That's been very effective. But now they're playing Cleveland. Now remember, Cleveland's got one thing going for them, is not their, even though I do think their current quarterback is better than Flacco was, Gabriel. And my goal is not to see Shedeur Sanders, because I think Shedeur Sanders, I think they made the right call with Gabriel. And the running back's doing very good, the rookie running back. But the key to everything is their defense. So Aaron Rodgers is going to be under a lot of pressure the entire game. The key is going to be to handle pressure. He's going to be able to offset it with a running attack, or is Miles just going to run him over and just do what Myles Garrett does? You can see it go either direction here, but it comes down to quarterbacks for me. And with that being said, the Steelers are going to keep on rolling along. I think Gabriel is definitely an upshoot because of his mobility that you didn't have with Flacco. But I just think that Aaron Rodgers at this point will be able to get that release that he's known for and pick apart the secondary of Cleveland. So the next one here is, this should be simply a win. New England against New Orleans, right? So you got New Orleans, just got their first win. Spencer Ratliff is 1-0 now. Congratulations on Moore's first win. Lave was a part of it. Of course, you got Kamara. So offensively, they got everything they need there. They got that win. Is this going to springboard them? Meanwhile, you got New England, who had a statement win on Sunday night. They went up against the top dog in their division, the Buffalo Bills, and smacked in the face and walked away better for it. So with that being said, you got one team that's moving up, but you got the other team who's just kind of, are we going to get the number 1 seed this year, number 2 seed, in the draft? So with that being said, I believe in Drake May. I believe Vrabel was a missing key. Don't get me wrong, having Diggs is really good, and Diggs really did light it up. Hoping for the New England Patriot fans that Diggs continues this and wasn't just a revenge game because they were playing Buffalo. But all in all, I think New England is on a upward trajectory, and I think their future is very bright. So keep kicking butt there. Pats are legit. They're going to get this win. Will anyone even watch the Tennessee Titans against the Las Vegas Raiders? On paper, not a good matchup. In reality, an even matchup. You got two teams that are bottom feeders. So you got the Raiders, who came in with a lot of hype. Chip Kelly is coming back to the NFL offensive coordinator. You got Geno Smith, a established veteran quarterback. Pete Carroll, he's just not giving it up in his 70s. Meanwhile, then you got Crosby on the on the defense. There always been no back. So you got a good lineup there. But it hasn't turned out that way. They got a victory in the first game of the year, but since then, they've been losing. And they've been losing because their offense looks really weird. It just hasn't established anything. And when they do start establishing something, guess what? Geno threw a pick. Geno has been opposite of what they needed. They brought a veteran in there, a veteran superstar, to offset Minshew and AOC. O'Connor. And what happens is he's playing worse than those two. Meanwhile, you got Tennessee, who just got their first victory, which I'm happy for you. Cam Ward deserves it. Pollard is solid. The defense is getting better. Calvin Ridley, I don't think is a number 1. Is number 2, playing a number 1. So going into this year, you've got a team that's just trying to keep getting better every week against a team that's fighting against themselves with the turnovers. So here's a bold pick here. I'm going to say Tennessee is going to get another win. I know it's hard to believe, but I really believe that Tennessee is a better team right now because they're not making the same mistakes as Vegas is. So bold here, but you know what? Last week, a lot of bold things happened. Next one is both teams need a win. How true can that be, right? Both teams need a win. Well, the reality is they really do. You got the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 2-0 and now 2-3, and finally made a move to do something about the quarterback situation, because they got the star wide receivers. They got a decent running attack. They got a really solid end. Meanwhile, their defense isn't as bad as it was last year. It's stepping up, and it's a clear path. This team should be competing with the AFC North. And because of that, they decided, you know what? We had enough of that experiment with their backup. We're now bringing in a veteran. Now, were they going with Kirk Cousins? No. Were they going with Jameson Winston? Oh, yeah, you know what? That'd be a nice pick there. But no. They went with the previously benched Joe Flacco to go behind the line, which is the worst offensive line in football. This might not end well for him. Meanwhile, they're playing the Green Bay Packers, who are the New Orleans Saints from last year. They kicked butt the first 2 weeks. They looked dominant. Their defense, their offense, everything was clicking. And then they ran into Cleveland, got punched in the face, and staggered into the bye 2-2. Well, 2-1-1, because they did not lose to Dallas. They tied Dallas. You got that extra one there. So going into this, is Flacco going to give you the spark? Is Flacco what they need because he's going to be able to get the ball? Or is he going to be better than Browning? Browning definitely was running for his life. Flacco's back there with a line that is non-existent. They're not going to get better for a 40-year-old. So is that going to happen, or is the pack going to get back into the flow? And I say, baby, the pack is back. I think the problems with Cincinnati, Flacco doesn't help you because he's not mobile, and the problem is you have no line. And I think Micah Parsons and the rest of that crew on the pass rush is just going to blow up Cincinnati, and Flacco's not going to have enough time to get the ball out. He might actually get hurt. So got to go with the pack. Next one here is two teams that like to win by the skin of their teeth. Right there, that skin of their teeth. It is the San Francisco 49ers, who are 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are also 4-1. Now, at the time of recording this, I don't know exactly who is starting quarterback for San Francisco. My gut's telling me that it's going to be Purdy, because Purdy doesn't want Mac Jones to get any more reps because Mac Jones might be taking his job. Now, San Francisco is all about the injuries. Kittle, Nick Bosa out for the year. Pearsall was out. The only guy healthy right now is McCaffrey. So Purdy's been out and stuff like that. But somehow they're finding ways to win. They're 4-1, and they do have the easiest schedule in the league. Now, one of those games that is not one of the easiest ones is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where, let's be honest, Baker Mayfield right now is a runaway. If it's ended right now, he is a runaway MVP candidate. This guy's, they're dealing with injuries too. Mike Evans, their superstar wide receivers, out. Godwin came back last week from a horrible injury last year. You've got the line, offensive line has been juggling people in and out because one or two of their starters aren't there the entire year. And of course, last week they had to play without Bucky, who is by far one of the most explosive and fun running backs in the league. So they've had injuries, but Baker has been pulling it out almost every game. The only game that they didn't pull out was against the Eagles, and that was just because of one or two plays. They were roaring back, and the Eagles held on to win. So who do I think is going to win this? I think Baker is going to keep the magic going. Baker at this point finds a way to win. If it's close, it goes towards the Bucs. And I just don't think eventually the injuries are going to catch up with San Francisco, and they're not going to have enough talent, healthy talent, to overcome. So even though I don't know if Bucky's playing, I don't know if Mac Jones is playing or Brock Purdy, I'm going to go with the Buccaneers taking this game. Now, next one, this was supposed to be the game of the week. The Sunday night games are always supposed to be the game of the week, and it's the Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, both lost week 1, but Kansas City continued that trend. Detroit, after that punch in the face by Green Bay in week 1, has been the most dominant team in the league. They are my number 1 team in my power rankings right now. Offensively, defensively, special teams. Dan Campbell has his team firing on all. So that's amazing considering they lost both of their coordinators. I know when the Eagles lost both of their coordinators, who are now the coaches of Indianapolis and Arizona, they took a step back. But Dan Campbell seems to be marching forward there. Goff is fantastic. Rah is catching everything that comes near him. You got the headed monster with Montgomery and Gibbs, just bam, bam, there with the running attack. And then defensively, Hutch is back. They're blowing things up. Going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who lost 2 in a row, then won 2 in a row, and then just lost against Jacksonville. So they thought, right, we're back. We got our team back. Worthy's back. We're going to be catching all these balls. We got the speed back. There's problems. And when they go up against a solid defense like Jacksonville, like the Chargers, they are not able to overcome that, especially with the running attack. The running attack is piss poor. Now, Spags has been doing decent with defense here, but is it going to be enough against a team that's playing like the Lions? No. The Lions are going to be like, no, you're in our house. And even though they're in Kansas City. And Yeah, I just think the Lions are the best team in the league, and they're going to prove it and knock Kansas City to 2-4. Now you got, again, another doubleheader Monday night games. All right. I'm not a big fan of this because they kind of overlap. I guess it works a little bit because the one's in halftime while the one's playing and then vice versa. So you continuously have it and flip back and forth. But I think if you're going to do two games, you need to stagger them at least 2 hours apart there to kind of give you that. It's going to be pretty much Buffalo Bills against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta, last time we watched Atlanta, did very well. But they're also the team that lost 40-0 to Carolina. So I don't know who they are yet. I don't know who Penix is. I know he's got a lot of talent around him, but I just don't know if they're good. As a quarterback, he's going to be able to distribute the ball. And then defense there, they're solid, but they can go back and forth. Well, we quarterback, and that is Josh Allen. And Josh Allen has turned a no-name bunch of wide receivers into 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. You don't know where the ball is going. Then you got the Knox and Kincaid there as tight ends. The defensive linesman holding up there. And then the secret weapon is James. James what? He is blasting through every defensive line there and being a great compliment there. The problem with Buffalo defense definitely lets them down 9 times out of 10. Now, I know there's a lot of injuries. I know Milano's in and out and stuff like that, but hopefully they're able to right that ship. So where's my gut telling me? I'm going to say it's a really close one here, but I think the Bills are going to take this one to basically start, they got to keep a little New England behind them. And I think New England's going to win. Buffalo needs to win. Kind of like the Eagles and Washington. They both have to kind of chase each other there into a 2-dog race. But I think the Bills are going to be good. I think Josh Allen's going to shake off whatever's been hitting him the last couple of weeks, and he's going to really blow it wide open. And then the last game of the week is Chicago, who came off their bye and had a victory going into their bye, going against the Washington Commanders, who now have Daniels back. And I think that was a big thing. They're 3-2. Their 2 losses came when Daniels wasn't there. They still don't have Scary Terry back. Scary Terry may or may not be playing. I don't know that at this time. However, I think overall, Washington is in a good place. Meanwhile, Chicago, kind of like Atlanta, I don't know who they are yet. I know they got talent. I know they got a creative mind with Ben Johnson as their coach, but I don't know really where they stand. And because of that, I am going with Daniels. I think he's a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. I don't think anybody's going to question that. They picked Caleb Williams when they could have had Daniels. Daniels at this point is definitely the better of the two, and I think Washington's going to win here. So, boom, boom. In conclusion, real quick here, my winners are Philadelphia, Denver, LA Rams, Dallas, Indianapolis, Seattle, LA Chargers, Pittsburgh, New England, Tennessee, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Buffalo, and Washington. And next week, we're going to get this back on track. We're going to do our wrap up. Hopefully, we're not 5-9. Hopefully, we're 9-5 or even better with these picks. We did a wrap up on Tuesday. Wednesday, we do power rankings. And of course, a week from today, we're going to go over week 7, man. This season's going fast. So once again, guys, fly, Eagles, fly. Baker's got to bake. And Bills, just keep doing what you're doing.